What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Technically, I would call this probably a War Within video because I want to talk about the hero talent trees that are going to be coming in the War Within. And I've also made a mock-up of a talent tree for an upcoming, for a class, sorry, that we have not had revealed yet. Of course, it's a Shaman spec combination. But I want to talk about these hero talent trees that we have coming up, these hero specs. So it was revealed that in the War Within we are going to be getting these hero specs, of course, and this is the list of all the different names of the different specs, which is super, super cool. That's a lot of extra work that they're doing. And we know what some of these are already going to look like, okay? So they've revealed the Sandland, the Chrono Warn, the Mountain Thane. There's the Druid one as well. It doesn't show on this page right now, but there's the Druid one with the Trance. Something I just want to talk about this really quickly and do a little bit of background, and then I want to talk about the tree that I've literally made. I've made up a full mock-up talent tree for one of the Shaman combinations. Talk about it in a second. I just want to give some background here really quickly. What we've seen so far in terms of the hero talent trees are mostly passive effects. And I think what most of us thought was going to happen was that there's going to be a lot of utility in these, a lot of shared utility, and a lot of shared passives. And by and large, that is what happened. Mostly it's like throughput passive stuff coming in. Like the Druid trees were like, you can summon Treants as a Moonkin, or you can summon Treants as a Resto Druid, and they're going to give you Moonfires, and they're going to give you Nourishes, and they're going to do a bunch of cool things back and forth. We see the same thing here, right? You've got passive stuff for this Sandland spec. You can turn your Heart Strike into a Vampiric Strike and heal you. If you're playing Unholy, this spec gives you a bunch of sustain, a bunch of extra healing, and a bunch of damage from this really cool haste buff that you get. Whatever, it's the essence of the Blood Queen that you get. So you're going to get a bunch of haste as a blood decay and a bunch of healing as an unholy decay. You're going to get both for both of them, but you see what I'm saying? That's the synergy there. Mostly passive. If you look at the Mountain Thane, it's like the OG Warcraft 3 Mountain King, right? This is like exactly what that is. It's like big thunderclaps doing lightning damage. Your Revenge and your Raging Blow and your Execute do lightning damage. This is for Fury Warriors or Protection Warriors. And it's a lot of lightning stuff. It does a bunch of extra damage, a bunch of throughput. It's all passive, okay? Then we get to the Lightsmith, and I was like, okay, now things are changing. Because the Lightsmith, I did a video on this, but you get these holy armaments, which is a thing that you put on the ground that allies can pick up. And it gives them either a shield or like an extra holy damage sacred weapon thing. And this entire tree is obviously dedicated to buffing these holy armaments. So you if an ally picks up an armament, you get the benefit of it, vice versa. Avenging Wrath summons an additional sacred weapon, one of the holy armaments. There's just straight up throughput damage on Consecration, damage on your Crusader Strike, Judgment critical strikes cause a shockwave. Like there's just throughput here, and there's throughput on this new active ability that you get. There's an active ability. This is really, really important because this sets us up to now understand that any of these hero talents that we're going to be getting, any of the rest of these hero talents that we're going to be getting, we've only literally seen 4 or 5 of them, they can have active abilities. New active throughput abilities can be added into the hero spec list. This is so important to me because it means that we might actually start getting some really interesting, cool new abilities that we've never seen before, or we could end up getting some abilities that we have seen before, but we just haven't seen them for a long time, like a couple of years, like, say, some of the Covenant abilities from Shadowlands, which is something I'm going to talk about right now. So there were some really iconic abilities in Shadowlands. If you guys were ever here, there were some really, really cool ones, especially for Shaman. There was, of course, Fey Transfusion. There was Primordial Wave, which we got into the Dragonflight expansion. There was, I think, the most iconic ability for Shaman that has ever existed, which is Chain Harvest. If you ever played Shadowlands, this was such an amazingly fun ability. It's like a Super Giga Juice Chain Heal and a Super Giga Juice Chain Lightning. I loved it. It was really, really fun. The last one that I want to talk about is, of course, Vesper Totem, which I think was less used in Shadowlands. By the end of Shadowlands, I actually really, really enjoyed using it. If you don't know what it does... Oh, God, that's okay. We have to go over here. If you don't know what it does, I'll show you what it does right now. You basically put this totem down, and then it procs damage when you do damage, and it procs healing when you do healing. So I put this down, and then I'm going to go Chain Lightning, and it'll proc damage. There's a bunch of damage, bunch of damage, bunch of damage. And then if I proc if I do healing, it'll do healing as well. There we go. And there, it does a bunch of damage whenever I do healing. Those are the 6 charges. It's all done. You can see it does, it's not showing the damage there. I did a damage a little while ago on this one. There's Vesper Totem damage right there. There's a better one, I think, right here. Oh, it keeps going back. Forget it. Doesn't really matter. Point is, it does a bunch of damage, and you can see here it did about 10% of my overall damage. This thing was a really cool ability in Shadowlands. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to make up a mock talent tree for what I believe could be the Totemic Shaman spec coming into the game. We have Stormbringer, Farseer, and Totemic. I'm going to do one for the Totemic, and I believe pretty strongly that the Totemic is going to be a combination of Resto Shaman and Ellie Shaman. And here's my mock-up tree that I have made, okay? Let me just get rid of all this stuff so it's just nice and clear what's going on here, okay? Here's my mock-up tree that I have, and at the center of it is going to be Vesper Totem. And I think that there's a very serious reason to believe, because of, again, the Lightsmith Paladin that I talked about, they could bring back something like Vesper Totem from Shadowlands. It is a totem. It works with the Totemic idea, and here's what's going to be happening with this hero talent tree. It's a combo of Resto and Ellie, and it's going to focus on totems. All kinds of totems. And you're going to get a brand new totem to play around with, which is Vesper Totem. That's the first ability that you take. You just get Vesper Totem. It does a bunch of damage and a bunch of healing like I just showed you whenever you do damage or whenever you do healing. So it immediately has flexibility between Resto and Ellie. It does damage. It does healing. You get to pick and choose what you want to do. And it's going to proc healing on allies or damage on enemies, whatever you want to do. It hits up to 6 enemies or up to 6 allies for a certain amount of damage. You can tweak those numbers if they're too high or too low, whatever the case might be. Let's dig into this, okay? This middle column is basically all about Vesper Totem, and the other columns have a little bit to do with Vesper Totem as well, but they mostly have to do with your totems in general. Remember, this tree is all about totems, and it's going to change your playstyle a little bit. If you're playing Ellie Shaman or Resto, it's going to change you into like a Totem Mancer kind of thing. So here, let's just dig into it. Right underneath Vesper Totem is called Nature's Rest. Damage and healing pulses from Vesper Totem reduce the cooldown on your other totems by 1 second. This includes every single totem, including things like Healing Tide Totem, Spirit Link Totem, or Liquid Magma Totem, which would be the main totem that Elemental Shaman has. I know I know people are going to be like, well, it should be like maybe Enhance plus Resto. It's like, I don't think so. I think Totemic is going to be Ellie plus Resto. We can have that discussion in the comments down below if you want to. I don't want to drag this video out any longer than it needs to be, but I'm kind of convinced at this point that Totemic is going to be Resto plus Ellie, so just work with me on that. Ellie has Liquid Magma Totem, and then Resto has the rest of the totems, basically. Enhancement Shaman only really has Wind Fury Totem, and it's not really like an active totem. So here's what's happening. Vesper Totem, whenever it pulses, it's going to reduce the cooldown of your other totems by 1 second. So if you put a Healing Stream Totem down and a Poison Cleanse Totem down and a Wind Rush Totem down, those are each going to get 6 seconds off their cooldown as long as you consume all the different pulses that your Vesper Totem is going to give off. Okay, like I showed you a second ago. Okay, so that's the first little bonus. So nothing crazy, but there's some synergy happening already. Vesper Totem helps us cool down our other totems. Okay, keep that in mind. Here's the middle one. This is a choice node. Blast Wave or Eventide. So Blast Wave says Vesper Totem pulses 2 additional damage procs only. not healing, damage, okay? So this is something you would probably want to take if you're going Ellie, right? Because now instead of it only proccing 3 times on damage, it'll proc 5 times for damage. That's a lot of extra damage that you're getting out of this totem. Or the other side, Eventide. Vesper Totem can pulse 2 additional healing procs and can hit 2 additional allies each time it heals. That means it's going to proc 5 times in total for healing, and it can affect 8 allies every time it procs a heal. It can hit 8 allies instead of 6. That is a pretty big deal. Again, try to think of this situationally. If you're a Resto Shaman, you could take Blast Wave and get a bunch of extra damage out of your Vesper Totem. Probably good for like Mythic Plus. If you're a Resto Shaman, you could also take Eventide instead and go into a raid situation and heal 8 people instead of only healing 6. Right? Because there's more people in raid. If you're an Ellie Shaman, you could get extra healing out of Eventide if you really wanted to be a really serious team player. Or you could take the pulses twice more to get more damage, which is likely what you're going to do if you're an Ellie Shaman. There's a little bit of choice there on the Resto side of things. Ellie has a choice as well, but maybe not so much, okay? Pretty simple. Let's go here. Revitalize. This is a really important one. Cleansing an ally or interrupting an enemy reduces the cooldown on Vesper Totem by 1 second. This is where the real synergy comes in. You need to use your other totems to cleanse allies or to interrupt enemies in order to get the cooldown on Vesper Totem back, and then Vesper Totem, every time it pulses, will reduce the cooldown of those other totems, okay? So, for example, you could do Poison Cleanse Totem on an Affliction week in Mythic Plus, and you automatically get 2 procs because it gets rid of both of the Afflicted, and that's 2 seconds off Vesper Totem just right there, okay? And then you could use your regular cleanse on an ally for normal magic debuffs or curse debuffs that are coming out on an ally. You could do that. You could do Totemic Recall to get back your Poison Cleanse Totem, to use it on the next Afflicted to get even more cooldown reduction of Vesper Totem. You can use Cap Totem on a group of enemies that are all trying to cast. Think about like Throne of Tides right now, that dungeon, right? There's all those Naga trying to cast Lightning Bolt and Healing Wave and all that kind of stuff. Imagine if you Cap Totem 4 of them at the same time while they're all trying to cast. You just interrupted 4 people. That gets you 1 second off Vesper Totem for each of those, which is 4, okay? And you could make Cap Totem go off twice with Cudgel, right? So you stun them once, it interrupts them 4 times. You stun them again, it interrupts 3 of them maybe. You just got 7 seconds off the cooldown of Vesper Totem by using Cap Totem once. This is the synergy that we want to see between the totems. So this is a really important one. Revitalize is a sort of a small sentence, but it packs a big punch when you combine it with stuff like Nature's Rest and when you combine it with our final note here, which is called Totemic Boon. Your damage and healing are increased by 3% per active totem up to 9%. So if you have 3 totems out, you're going to have the maximum benefit from this passive. 9% more damage and 9% more healing. Casting Vesper Totem extends the duration of your other active totems by 3 seconds. Now, there's some exceptions to this rule. Most totems will get plus 3 seconds. Okay? 1 second. Let's make sure this is big enough. Let me actually just zoom in a little bit. There we go. Sorry. I want to make sure this is big enough for you guys. Most totems are going to get plus 3 seconds to their duration, like a Healing Stream Totem, Wind Rush, Poison Cleanse. Those kinds of things are going to get plus Earth Grab Totem. Liquid Magma Totem will actually get plus 6 seconds to its duration. So for Ellie Shaman, Totemic Boon is awesome, right? It means when you cast Vesper Totem, you do Liquid Magma Totem first, then you cast Vesper Totem, and it will extend your Liquid Magma Totem by 6 seconds, which means your Liquid Magma Totem will do a lot more AoE damage, okay? Just on its own. Forget about the Flame Shock synergy and all that. That's what you're going to get. Spirit Link Totem would only get plus 1 second because if you added plus 3 seconds to Spirit Link Totem, that would be completely busted. So Spirit Link Totem gets plus 1 second. Okay? And whatever other exceptions you'd have to make, they would be in there. But that's the idea. The more totems you have out, the more damage and healing that you're doing. And on top of that, you get this extension from Vesper Totem. So you need to think about when you're putting your Vesper Totem down. You put down one, let's say you put down a Healing Stream Totem and another Healing Stream Totem. And then you could put down a Cap Totem. And then you put down Vesper Totem. So now you've got your maximum benefit. You're actually past the maximum benefit for the damage and healing that you're going to be getting. And those healing stream totems are now lasting longer. The cap totem lasts longer. It's all there, right? There's all kinds of ideas are there. You can, combine poison cleanse, healing stream totem. You could do a wind rush totem. You could do a mana tide totem. You could do an earthen wall totem, liquid magma totem. It's all there, okay? So that's the big Vesper totem synergy line in the middle. Now let's go to the left here. Totemic Restoration. Summoning a totem restores 2,000 mana or 20 Maelstrom, depending which spec you're in. So again, this is something that could really help Resto Shaman. I found it very frustrating sometimes getting my mana back. It's really difficult depending on what build you're running, but Resurgence just is like not enough mana. It's just really not. So I think a little bit of extra mana would be kind of nice. Every time you drop a totem, you get, if 2,000 mana is too much, then just lower the number, right? Spiritual Alacrity. Shifting into Ghost Wolf form summons a Wind Rush totem around you for 8 seconds. Ghost Wolf form, Wind Rush totem, and Spirit Walker's Grace increase your movement speed by an additional 15%. Okay, so you get a little speed buff. And then whenever you shift into Ghost Wolf form, you summon a Wind Rush totem. I forgot to write on that there would be a cooldown. Let's just put that in right there. We'll say this effect can only occur once every minute. Okay, we'll just do that. Update talent. There we go. It should be there now. This effect can only occur once every minute. So once every minute, you go into Ghost of Form. You're really like, well, Zuko, that's a pretty stupid idea. Okay, let's just hear me out. You're at the final boss of Darkheart Thicket. Okay, it's the Shade of Xavius. He gets into part 2, and he starts raining down those stars that put the big red swirlies on the ground. If you get hit by one of those, you're dead. So imagine you're in the middle of casting Healing Wave on somebody, and you get the red swirly over your feet. You hit Ghost Wolf. It puts a Wind Rush totem down. You don't necessarily have to take Thunderous Paws anymore if you don't want to get that movement speed burst. You're getting a new movement speed burst from this Spiritual Alacrity. And then there's a Wind Rush totem down for 8 seconds, which is super cool. So now you have a Wind Rush totem down. You can run in and out of it to avoid the falling stars from that boss. And remember, it counts as a totem. This gives you a totem, which goes into Totemic Boon. Your damage and healing are buffed by 3% per active totem. Okay? It also can get sorry, no, it's not gonna play that, but your Nature's Rest will also cool down that Wind Rush, your regular Wind Rush totem, so you can cast another Wind Rush totem afterwards. But this is a free proc on a totem, which is a really, really big deal because it means that it synergizes really well with your ultimate, the Totemic Boon here, right? So it's all kind of working together, and on top of giving you a cool Wind Rush effect, you're getting one extra totem, which is giving you this bonus. So just keep that in mind. Fire Focus versus Soothing Stream. Healing Stream / Cloudburst Totem. Increase your fire damage dealt by 10% and add 2 Flame Shocks to nearby enemies when cast. This is very, very cool for Elemental Shaman, of course. The current fire build that we're running requires us to get Liquid Magma Totem down. Liquid Magma Totem only adds 3 Flame Shocks. You have to do Primordial Wave and then another Flame Shock and then another one to try and get up to 6, right? This would help alleviate some of that. This is turning Healing Stream Totem into a desirable totem for Elemental Shaman to press, which is very, very good because guess what? If you have a Healing Stream Totem down and a Vesper Totem down and a Liquid Magma Totem down, you have 3 totems down, and that gives you your Totemic Boon buff. Okay, so we want to create a way for Elemental Shaman to feel incentivized to press other totems like Wind Rush or Healing Stream Totem. This is a really, really good reason to press Healing Stream Totem for Elemental Shaman. It's also a great buff for Resto Shaman to get 2 free Flame Shocks, right? You're pressing Healing Stream Totem all the time. So this is a very, very cool, and I think you might want to limit this to like this can only occur once every 15 seconds or something, so that Cloudburst Totem isn't just objectively worse, right? You could just do a little, just add that text in there. But this is a really cool idea. We want to make other totems desirable for Elemental Shaman to press as a source of DPS for them. Soothing Stream, Healing Stream, Cloudburst Totem deal 10% more healing and add 1 Riptide to a nearby ally. Once again, this is going to synergize really, really well with any Riptide build. Maybe you're using Primal Tidal Core, right? Maybe you're doing all the Riptide stuff. This is a free extra Riptide that you're getting without having to spend any mana on it, right? Really, really nice. In terms of fire focus, this is 2 flame shocks that you get for free without having to use a GCD to press flame shock as an Ellie Shaman. So very, very efficient here. This is a great choice node, I think, for this whole tree. Let's go to the right side. A little bit of utility here. Unwavering. Being affected by fear, charm, or sleep automatically summons a tremor totem for 6 seconds. Once again, this is going to clear any fear, charm, or sleep that is affecting you. And it gives you another totem for 6 seconds, which buffs your damage and your healing from Totemic Boom, just like Alacrity did. Okay, so there's like a couple layers of stuff going on there. Static Reach. Capacitor Totem stun lasts 1 additional second, 1 second longer. So instead of stunning for like 2 seconds, it's going to stun for 3 or whatever the case might be. That's actually a very, very, very powerful effect in Mythic Plus. So might have to tone that down a bit. We'd have to see, but that's a choice node there. Totemic Power. Every 3rd cast of Vesper Totem procs Ascendance for 7 seconds. This is good for Ellie or for Resto Shaman, right? It's good for both. Ascendance does a bunch of extra meatballs. This is really cool because you can actually plan when you want this thing to go off, right? You can set it up. Right now, we have deeply rooted elements. You can't really set up when you're going to get a proc. You can't set it up at all. This gives you a deterministic moment when you press that Vesper Totem and you make sure that you've already got Liquid Magma Totem out. You press Vesper Totem, you've got all the Flame Shocks ready to go, and then you're guaranteed to get a huge stream of meatballs because you're going to get that Ascendance proc. So this is a very, very cool way of doing this, and it's not overpowered because it's every 3rd cast of Vesper Totem's a 1-minute cooldown. Vesper Totem is a 1-minute cooldown baseline. I don't think I mentioned that. That's my fault. But every 3rd cast of Vesper. Now, again, you can cool down Vesper Totem. So you see the synergy here? The more you cool down Vesper Totem, the more times you cast it, the more Ascendance procs you're going to get. Okay, so it's all kind of working together there. All right? Let's look at this last one. Mending Waters versus Raging Totem. Casting Vesper Totem also casts Healing Rain at the same location that lasts for 8 seconds. So again, this is just a really, really good extra little throughput for you. You don't have to spend 1 GCD casting Healing Rain. You don't have to spend the mana casting Healing Rain. This is going to save you mana. Wink, wink. Okay? And Healing Rain obviously works with Deluge, which means allies that are standing in your Healing Rain will take 20% more healing, I think, from you. But mostly this is like, you're going to get a free Healing Rain, and it's going to cost you no mana, which is a really, really big deal for Resto Shaman. Casting Vesper Totem, Raging Totem. Casting Vesper Totem also casts Liquid Magma Totem at the same location that lasts for 6 seconds. The Liquid Magma Totem adds a Flame Shock to 3 nearby enemies. So this is really like where it all comes together for Ellie Shaman. Imagine for a sec that you open with a Liquid Magma Totem, then you drop a Vesper Totem, the Liquid Magma Totem that's already on the ground, and the new Liquid Magma Totem that you just put on the ground are both going to be extended by 6 seconds because of Totemic Boon. Okay, let's just imagine that the free Liquid Magma Totem that you get from this, when you drop Vesper Totem, it's going to get a 6-second buff, okay? Because then Vesper Totem comes down. So instead of it only lasting for 6 seconds, it'll actually last for 12, and then your original Liquid Magma Totem that you put down that I think lasts for like 10 or 12 seconds baseline will last for 18. Okay? You see the synergy that's going on there? So we're getting an enormous amount of AoE fire damage. We're getting a whole bunch of Flame Shocks for free from the extra Liquid Magma Totem and from the Healing Stream Totem that we just put down as well. The Healing Stream Totem and the Liquid Magma Totem and the Vesper Totem are all giving us extra damage, 9% more damage as well. It's all synergizing together. Every 3rd cast of Vesper Totem is going to give us an Ascendance proc. All the meatballs are going to go flying out on all the new Flame Shocks that we have easily applied now. This is going to solve a lot of problems, I think. This could, if Blizzard ever decided to make this, this could solve a lot of problems for the fire build for Elemental Shaman. Because you're getting a bunch of free Flame Shocks. You're getting free procs on Ascendance that you can predict. You're getting to use Healing Stream Totem, which will proc the healing side of your Vesper Totem, right, for free. You don't have to cast like a healing surge or something to get the healing. The Healing Stream Totem procs of healing are just going to proc your Vesper Totem for free, and then it's obviously giving you 2 Flame Shocks. You can really space this out as well. Very first pull, you drop Liquid Magma Totem plus a Flame Shock plus a Primordial Wave. That's good enough. Then you press Totemic Recall, get your Liquid Magma Totem back. On the second pack, you drop Liquid Magma Totem and Vesper Totem. Then the Liquid Magma Totem and the Vesper Totem, it drops another Liquid. So now you have 2 Liquid Magma Totems just wrecking the AoE pack, just doing tons of fire damage, and they give you all the Flame Shocks. On the third pack, you don't have your Liquid Magma Totem back. You drop a Healing Stream Totem, plus a Flame Shock, plus a Primordial Wave. You've got 4 or 5 Flame Shocks if you take in Surge of Power. Like, you can just see how this makes the Mythic Plus experience for the fire build much, much, much better. It solves a lot of those problems. And at the same time, you're putting down Healing Stream Totems. That's going to heal one of your buddies. It's going to proc your Vesper Totem. That's going to heal the tank and whoever else is in melee range of the Vesper Totem, which is super cool. It's also going to generate Maelstrom every time you summon a totem. So dropping a Healing Stream Totem or even a Windrush Totem is a really, really good thing. You pop into Ghost Wolf form. It summons a Windrush Totem on you. That gives you 20 Maelstrom as an Ellie Shaman. It also gives you 1 extra totem towards Totemic Boom. Like, do you see how this all works together? It's all working together. You're getting resources. You're incentivized to press Healing Stream because it heals people. It's giving you Flame Shocks for free. You're getting Vesper Totems that are giving you Liquid Magma Totems for free. They're doing a bunch of extra AoE damage. They're proccing Ascendance. It's all, like, working together. And then the cooldown, of course, your Vesper Totem is going to cool down your other totems, including Liquid Magma Totem, by the way. So for Ellie Shaman, I think this is like a 10 out of 10 for me in terms of, like, particularly for Mythic Plus, not so much for Raid, but for Mythic Plus in particular, this is like a 10 out of 10 for the fire build. Now, again, there's a whole other tree that I'm going to do eventually called Stormbringer, I think, right? And that's good. In my mind, I think Stormbringer is going to be Ellie plus Enhance. And you can do a whole lightning build over there. Things that focus on Stormkeeper, Chain Lightning, reducing all your cooldowns, your nature cooldowns like Storm Elemental, right? A lot of cool things can happen over there. This would focus on the fire build / obviously Resto. I think for Resto Shaman, what you're getting out of this tree is a bunch of extra damage. You get free Flame Shocks over here that are going to trigger Lava Surge for you for free. You're getting more damage and more healing per active totem, right? Your Vesper Totem will do a bunch of extra damage for you and a bunch of extra healing. And you can time your Vesper Totem as a new cooldown. And you can layer it on top of things like Ancestral Guidance or Ascendance to pump out a ridiculous amount of healing. I used to do that when I played in Shadowlands. It was like Vesper Totem, AG, go, 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 go. And it would just like... the Vesper Totem would proc healing, and then it would double up on the AG healing, and it would just be like everybody would be at full health, like right away. So, again, Ascendance for Resto Shaman gives you the chance to proc a bunch of extra healing as well. Predictable Ascendance procs are very, very good for Resto Shaman, in my opinion. So, lots of synergies there. I think this tree could be really, really cool, and I think it would work exceptionally well with the new system that they have going in the War Within. I think that there, you know, as I said at the opening too, there's a little bit of a precedence for this. The Paladin tree has an active ability with a bunch of support talents. That's all we're doing here. We have an active ability with a bunch of support talents. I feel like this is amazing. I would love to play around with this in the War Within, and I really hope that Blizzard maybe take some notes. Honestly, it would be really cool if any of them were watching this video. I think this kind of idea, the synergies that are here are just amazing, and I would love to see some version of this in the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know I rambled for a long time, but this took me a long time to kind of put together, so I'm happy that I was able to share it with you. But let me know what you guys think about all this stuff in the comments down below. Do you think that Resto plus Ellie will even be the Totemic version of Shaman? Do you think it's going to be one of the other ones? Maybe Farseer? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about my Vesper Totem talent tree in the comments down below. Anything you have to say, I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.